The city of West Hollywood is about to get a new, very high-tech, very green parking structure behind West Hollywood City Hall on Santa Monica Boulevard. It is a parking structure that uses less space to provide more parking spaces for your cars. To talk about this exciting new project is Don Monahan, Vice President of Walker Parking Consultants. And Don, thank you so much for joining me here today.
My pleasure.
Well, I'm going to start with a very simple question. What is an automated parking structure? How does it work?
Well, you drive your car into a compartment the size of an oversized single garage stall. And you vacate that compartment, you activate the storage process, and a computerized transport device comes in from the opposite side of the compartment, slides under your car, lifts it up, and pulls it out onto the carrier, and it goes over to a lift, moves up to an upper level, slides horizontally down to a storage space, and pushes your car without human intervention.
Hands-free, all computer
All
operated.
computerized, yes.
This technology is something you see in New York City where they have no space for parking. But how long have automated garages been around? Just how new is this technology?
Well, the technology comes from the automated warehousing industry, and that's been around since the 60s in Europe, in Asia in particular, where they move products, pallets of materials around in a high-piled rack storage facility. And since the 80s, they've been moving vehicles with the same robotic computerized technology.
So it's the same kind of idea. Instead of moving pallets of goods, they move a car.
That's correct.
Okay, so we're talking about the last 30 years we've been using it for cars.
Yes.
How many of these structures exist, and in what kind of cities are we going to see these high-tech structures?
Well, worldwide, there's over 500 of these automated vehicle storage and retrieval systems. It's been slow to come to the United States. The first one was built in 2002, and now there's 16 of these facilities in the United States.
Mm-hmm. And what countries have been using them for years?
Germany, I looked at several in Seoul, South Korea. There's 26 automated garages there. Japan, Amsterdam, Israel, all over the world.
So you hand off your car essentially to a computer or a robot.
Yes.
How reliable is this technology? Should I worry that I'm never going to see my car again?
Well, there's a lot of redundancy built into these devices. First of all, the brains of the system consists of what they call a programmable logic controller. It monitors all these transport devices moving around inside the storage vault at the same time so they don't run into each other. And they have backup controllers so that when you couple them together, it's 99.96% reliable. And then there's multiple motors on each carrier. Each of the four wheels has a motor, so if one motor goes down, the other three motors can still move a vehicle. There's 6 lift devices in the carrier to raise the car up. If one goes down, the other 5 can still lift the car. There's a computer server that's backed up with another server every 15 minutes. So there's emergency generators to provide backup power, so it's extremely reliable.
So that emergency generator could come in handy in, say, Southern California when we have a heat wave and we have brownouts or blackouts and we have no power. You don't have to worry that you're going to put your car in this structure and never see it again because we have no power to get it out.
That's correct. There's also manual overrides that you can operate the system manually.
Well, we've all waited in line at the valet to get our car. We've even waited in line at the parking toll booth to pay the ticket to get out. How fast is this going to be? Are we going to have to wait in line to get our cars from this structure?
Well, one of the critical elements of the design was to do traffic counts to determine what the peak hour arrival departure volume is going to be for this facility, and we found that it's something less than 2 vehicles per minute. Well, the system can handle 4 vehicles per minute, so it's got twice the capacity as the average arrival departure rate.
And how long does it take from the time I walk up to that building, push a button, enter in my car number code for it to get to me so that I can drive away?
The average storage retrieval time is 90 seconds, which is shorter than it would take to go up an elevator, get your car in a conventional garage, and drive out of a conventional garage.
That's amazing, 90 seconds.
Yes.
What happens if 2 or 3 people all come at the same time? You say there's 4 Different systems?
There's 4 compartments, so it can handle 4 cars at once. So there's 5 carriers inside the system to handle that many cars. You can enter the time that you're expected to come back and get your car. So the system knows when you're expected back, and it can move the car from an upper level down to a lower level, so it would retrieve faster.
It's intuitive.
Yes.
And it can work with you and with your schedule if you let it know when you think you're going to be coming back.
Yes.
That's pretty incredible. Because how many times have you parked in a lot, I'll be back in 5 minutes, and you show up 5 minutes later and your car is behind 7 cars and you can't get out? Or gone to a concert and been stuck there until everybody in front of you moves out. That doesn't happen with this kind of structure.
No.
That's pretty incredible. The city of West Hollywood prides itself on being very green, cutting-edge green technology. That's what you find here in the city of West Hollywood. How green is this kind of structure?
Well, the car's transported without the engine running, so there's no vehicle emissions, so there's less pollution. It actually uses less electricity, about half the electricity of a conventional garage. It's in a smaller volume, so there's less materials, so it's more green from that standpoint. And it's equivalent to taking 90 cars off the road annually or planting 90,000 trees.
And when you say uses less electricity, that's because you don't need to have full lights on every floor and every section.
That's exactly right.
You don't need to do that.
That's exactly right.
Wow. And because you stack the cars, how much less land do you require compared to a conventional garage?
Well, you can get the same amount of cars in half the volume, and it also uses about 60% less footprint than a conventional garage. And it gave the opportunity on this particular site, which is so tight, to have additional setbacks from the residential property to the south, and also to create a 27-foot landscape civic plaza between the garage and the city hall itself.
So a little bit of greenery and beauty that you wouldn't have if you had to put a regular traditional structure there.
Right. The traditional structure would have literally filled up the entire site.
Well, West Hollywood currently, in their current parking spot, can accommodate about 65, 66 cars. How many cars will this structure be able to accommodate once it's built?
200 cars.
That's a big difference.
Yes.
More than 3 times as many.
Yes.
That's amazing. So we're talking about it. It's coming to West Hollywood. General idea when we'll be able to park in this garage. It has to be built, obviously.
Right. Well, the city has approved the schematic design phase, so there's still another 4 or 5 months left to complete the design and bid the project out. So it'll probably be next spring, early summer, before the ground is broken, and then it'll take about a year for it to get built.
What do you say to the folks who are skeptical? My mom gets afraid using her iPhone because it's too high tech. What do you say to the people who have those kinds of fears about high technology that they don't quite understand?
The American public doesn't adopt new technology easily, but once they do, they embrace it. And it's the same thing with automated vehicle storage retrieval systems. It's a proven technology in Europe and Asia and across the ocean, and there's 16 projects in the United States that are working well. So we're very confident that this structure is going to serve the city very well.
Don Monahan, Vice President of Walker Parking Consultants, thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
And I am Tracy Savage. Happy parking, everyone.